Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing another travel series video. We are talking about Italy, specifically Rome and Venice. We were in Italy for about a week. We went there for like the first part of our honeymoon, and we chose Italy, or I guess like I really wanted Italy because it had been a place that for me I always really wanted to go. When I was like 10 or 11, I kind of just decided that I wanted to go there. I really enjoyed cooking when I was a kid, and I decided that I wanted to take culinary classes in Italy. And it was kind of something that just always stuck, something I always wanted to do. And so I fully prepared to study abroad there in university, and unfortunately didn't work out. Personal factors, and then also just COVID happened, so that kind of threw a wrench in everything. So basically I just had always wanted to go there and explore it, and figured now was the time.
So yeah, as Danae said, we were in Italy for about 7 days, split the time pretty evenly there between Rome and Venice, with like 3 full days in each and then kind of a travel day in between.
My first impression of Rome was interesting. I feel like I definitely had some skewed visions of what I thought Rome would be like. It was a lot busier, crazier than I had anticipated. And if you know anything about me or my past videos, that really stresses me out. I live in Chicago, yes, but I don't do well in big cities. I stay away from the very heavily populated places, which is why for a honeymoon I decided to pick the most heavily populated places in both countries that we went to, because it just made sense. So yeah, I'd say but that's honestly every single place that we've ever been. I take a second to get accustomed to it. Usually takes me at least a day to adjust to everything, and then I fall in love with it. Yeah, and I think Rome was really stressful because the driving, I have never seen anything like that in my life. I thought that in the UK some of the driving was very questionable. Rome was interesting, and we even walking down the street, you see every car, almost every single car, probably 90% of the cars that were parked on the road had some sort of scratch or mirror off, or tail light smash. So yeah, the driving was really scary. And I think that was what was overwhelming, is we had to walk a lot of places, and it was scary to cross the road. People didn't really stop for you. You kind of just had to run for it. Even at proper crosswalks and stuff, I felt you still had to beware. So it was a bit scary. What was your first impression of Rome?
It was similar, I would say, to what I was expecting. Honestly, I thought it was less busy than I thought it was going to be, but that's just because I've seen some photos in the touristy areas there where it's just completely packed with people. And we did go a little more on the edge season, so I think it got a little less busy. There were definitely parts of it that were more busy than I thought they would be, though. The costs I thought were higher than I was expecting, but again, we went to touristy areas, so I
thought Rome was less expensive than I would have anticipated.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I always heard that southern Italy was cheaper. I knew Venice was going to be expensive because it's a very touristy rich area, but for Rome, I thought it was cheaper than Venice, but I thought it was going to be even cheaper. But again, it was probably just some of the spots we went, because there were some places we went where it was cheap, but then others were overpriced in my opinion. But it was probably the touristy aspect to a lot of it, because they know people will pay.
I think living in a city, in a big city, I go to other big cities and expect to basically for the locals to kind of just be annoyed with you, because I know like as when I go to like the Bean or something in Chicago, I am like not into all the tourists and stuff. Like I guess if they were to talk to me, it's not like I'd be rude to them kind of thing, but like I just expected people in Rome. And you know, you hear so much stuff about like Rome and Paris of like all the, you know, scammers and like watch your pockets and all of that stuff. And like, so I just expected to have to be like a lot more alert, but every person we talked to was really nice and sweet. And I was, really surprised by that.
Good service.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that. That was better than I was expecting too. I guess I didn't really know what to expect for people. Obviously, yeah, you're gonna have some of those scammers and stuff that are, or some people that are rude, but yeah, for the most part, like at the restaurants or hotels or other places we went, everyone was really nice.
And something about Rome that we didn't really find in Venice, but the people who were like from Rome or like that area had, like when they would speak English, had the most stereotypical like Italian accent of just like, you know, I genuinely thought that was a stereotype. I was like, I feel like that's just something it's kind of like that, but it's over exaggerated. But it really is like the rhythm of like the da 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 da. Like, and I just was sitting there the whole time and I was like, oh my gosh, people were not exaggerating this. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of cute. I liked it. Venice was very different than Rome, I felt, which is fair. I mean, it's quite far. It's northern Italy, I guess, so it's a different place. Makes sense. But I don't know, like, the accents were different. Yeah, we were only on the island part, so I don't think that's necessarily, like, the best part to go to really get, like, the true cultural experience. Venice was very beautiful, but I think that almost overwhelmed me more than Rome, but in a different way. That was solely because there was no cars, don't worry. You didn't have to worry about getting hit by a car there. But there was like way too many tourists. I mean, I think that there was more tourists there than like actual Italians.
There are.
Yeah,
at least
it was
they have more hotels on the island than they do like capacity for housing for residents.
And it's such a small condensed area that I think you just like know, like in Rome you could escape the tourists. You could go places that like it wasn't like packed with people, where in Venice it was like all the time.
We had a few of the spots we went like up by the campus and
once you got like away from all of the attractions and stuff, of course, it was way quieter, way more peaceful, beautiful, loved that. But yeah, I think both places were a bit overwhelming for me.
Yeah, Venice was interesting. I honestly didn't know exactly what to expect either. Like I knew it from all the photos of like the gondola rides and like the no cars and stuff, but other than that I didn't know what it was like. I think the biggest thing that surprised me too was it was mostly tourists, and it sounds like that's been a thing that's changed over time as like more and more places convert into like hotels, and then less and less locals can actually afford to live there, and most of them move to the mainland and actually commute in. So I think I agree, it was overwhelming in the sense of how many tourists there are and like the different tourist groups you get that go through both of these places is always annoying if you get caught behind them, because you're on like narrow streets most of the time going through Venice, and you get lost there a lot, and like you don't get good service, and it's just you're walking through, and in some spots there's only like one way to get to it, and I wasn't really expecting.
The funny thing is too, sometimes there's like a road and it leads like straight into the water, and there's no like fence or anything, and there's no like lights, so you had to like really like look out where you were walking, because you very well could just stroll right into the water.
And sometimes the main road to take was actually like the thing that looked like the tiny side street, and then the big path just kind of ended. So that was always weird, like just kind of zigzagging in between all the buildings. But I thought it was really cool, and once we got used to it, we kind of knew how to get around to the main spots without looking at our phone the whole time trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'd say we're both probably me more so, but we're both definitely those tourists though that go to touristy places and then complain about all the tourists as tourists ourselves. Also, I thought that in Venice, like, you could tell more that the people were over the tourists. Like, I felt like we talked to a couple really friendly, very nice people there, but it just seemed like everyone was kind of a little bit more not as friendly. Like, I feel like in Rome, like, even the waiters and stuff, they would like actually try to have conversations with you, and they were like more interested about like, oh, like, where are you from, and wanted to like talk to you. Where here, I felt like they were like, I'm just here to do my job. Which, fair. Honestly, I don't think I could work in that touristy
I think
spot.
you get a different vibe of tourists in both cities too. I feel
Yeah.
like Rome is a lot more like free-spirited, like on their own type of travel thing, whereas Venice feels like just the whole vibe there is different, and then the type of people you get there is different and less. I feel like a lot of the tourists themselves too are less willing to like start up a conversation, so they just kind of get used to that. But yeah, there are definitely locals there that I think were annoyed with how many tourists they have and that driving up costs for them too, so I definitely understand that. Whereas Rome, I think, is just bigger and you have non-touristy areas, so you could actually go find places where things were cheaper, more for the locals, whereas Venice, it felt like there wasn't as much of that.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna try to be a little bit more concise because I feel like we're talking a lot. I could talk about this all day though. Let's start with Rome. Do you have like a favorite memory or experience that we did in Rome?
I'd have to say the Colosseum. I don't know. I feel like that's a very basic answer to say, but I would have been sad if I went to Rome and didn't see it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a, whoa, this is so cool, I want to go back again and again, but it was the one thing that I, like, wanted to do there, and we did it, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I would say the Colosseum was probably my favorite experience or, like, thing that we saw, but I don't know, my favorite thing whenever we travel is always just talking to people there. I like to start up a lot of conversations, especially after a couple espresso martinis with just like anyone that we talk to on the street. And that's like always my favorite thing, is talking to the locals and like seeing, you know, what life is like there. And if I would have studied abroad, it would have been in Rome. So it was, you know, kind of cool to see like, this is what I would have been doing, or this is what my life would be like, but probably eating at McDonald's because I don't have the money to go to the restaurants.
I don't know, McDonald's was very expensive.
So expensive there.
That's one of the other things that surprised me. It was not cheap at all.
Are we going to out ourselves and say that we went to McDonald's in Italy?
We did go to McDonald's in Italy to try it.
You want to tell them what we got at the McDonald's too?
So it was a train station McDonald's. So they didn't have much food options.
It was an emergency situation.
Someone was very hungry before we got on the train, so we just grabbed some chicken nuggets from the McDonald's there. I will say they tasted better than the chicken nuggets here, but they were also, I think, €7, so
for like
almost like $9 for a 6-pack. So $1.50 a nug, not worth it.
Yeah. Actually, side note, but things are so when you were talking about the prices in Rome, I guess I was thinking about like the hotel, the like restaurants and stuff that we went to, not including McDonald's. And I was like, I didn't think it was that much, you know, like I thought that's pretty much what I was expecting for a city kind of thing. But I ran out of some concealer, and Damick needed like sunscreen, so we did go to the Sephora. And I have been to the Sephora in the UK, and it's like somewhat like a pretty cheaper than the US. Like not crazy cheaper, but like usually in like converted to dollars, it's like $5 cheaper per product or something like that. So I was like, oh, like it's probably going to be really cheap here, you know, like a walk in. It was insane. Like I don't know how people, especially because like they like a lot of people have lower salaries. I don't understand how you can afford to buy stuff at Sephora, because the product that I get, like the sunscreen that I would get here in the US, is $15. There it was €35. insane. So, and there was like a lot of people in that Sephora too, so I don't know, but I bought it. Don't think I'll be shopping at the Italy Sephora again. But the thing I think that surprised me the most about Rome was, well, the driving. That was kind of shocking. But no, I think the thing was actually how many people didn't speak English or only spoke like very, very minimal English. Only because I kind of thought that in most countries in the EU that like they learned English in school. And like from friends and stuff that have been before, they like had always told me like, oh, you're going to Rome, like everyone will speak, you know, it's not like some small Italian village or something, like they're like everyone will speak English. And I was actually quite surprised that there were a lot of people who didn't. Even in like the working, what is that called?
Like
the like service industry.
Yeah.
I thought that was really surprising. Something that I feel like I did prepare for in Rome was the amount of scammers that there was going to be. I feel like I knew it just in general. Like people talk about that, about like Rome being a city where there are like a lot of like people trying to scam you. And luckily, like living in a big city, like we already kind of were used to that. Like we've seen some of those scams. But something I was kind of surprised about was like how some of the scammers were actually like friendly. You know what I mean? Like some of them were actually like really nice and they were like really trying to be your friend. And I don't know.
Bracelet people try to do that a lot of like giving.
No, but not in that way.
Too.
That's like very, and that happens all over the US too. That's
really?
Like a fake.
Oh,
yeah, that happens in Chicago. That happens in LA. Like
I've seen it in LA. I haven't seen it in Chicago.
Yeah, it happens by the bean. Not in that way. I mean, like the people who are doing like magic tricks on the street and stuff. Like they are very much like just trying to have a conversation with you. Like, you know, chill, and then they take your money, and it's like, alrighty then. I guess we're not friends. But I don't know. I enjoyed my time there. I would say one thing that was a little bit stressful is we did not pre-book stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. Vatican was
everything. The Colosseum too.
Yeah.
Luckily, the
Colosseum line wasn't that bad. Most of the lines were not that bad, but the Vatican we spent 4 hours in line for
because we didn't pre-book it.
Yeah, that was bad. We pre-booked basically every meal, like with reservations there, but did not do that for a couple of the other excursions like that. So yeah, I think that was probably the most stressful part of just waiting in line. We got to talk with the people near us in line, though. That was fun. And then we'd take turns getting out of line to like go grab food or go to the bathroom and stuff. But yeah, I think that was probably the most stressful part, just knowing like you only have so many days there and just watching the time go by as you're standing in line. And then the amount of people in the Vatican there, just that was stressful, kind of getting shoveled through again with like the tourist groups in there too, of like you're trying to sneak through and then they're just filling the whole doorway and you're kind of stuck and everyone behind you is trying to push forward. So I felt like we didn't get to enjoy it as much because then we had other reservations later in the day too to get to. So yeah, that was probably the most stressful part.
Since you tried so many new foods, what was your favorite new food that you tried there?
Good question. I liked the restaurant that was by our hotel that we went to that first night, like just right around the corner. Like it felt a little more intimate. Sure, I think the other people in there were also American, but besides that, it was like it felt like our first real meal there. So I think maybe that's why I liked it a lot. But it was nice. I liked it.
I think I was gonna say that place too.
What's
because
it called?
La Cabana, because it was like off the main area. There wasn't as many people there, and that's where we got the carbonara, and I just like love carbonara. So I was like, and we got like caprese. I was just like, and tiramisu. So it was a good night. I can't say, I don't think in Rome there was anywhere where I didn't like the food.
If we were to go back, is there anything you do differently for Rome?
Well, okay, I would say as advice if other people go there, definitely pre-book those things. Like any, like the Colosseum, the Vatican, any museums that you're going to, pre-book or at least check to see if they do pre-booking, I would just do it. Just save yourself the stress of having to deal with that. But obviously if we went back, I don't think we would do that stuff again.
Yeah.
So what I would want to do differently is really just like, I don't know, like live there pretty much. Like pretend like I live there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I would
Go to work and
yeah. I mean, hey, I would do it. Put me to work. I'll work in your little coffee shop or whatever. Like I probably would have to learn a little bit better Italian, but is there anything that you would do differently?
definitely the pre-booking this stuff. There are some things where maybe I wouldn't have done reservations for like food
yeah, that's a good one.
because it felt like we would be rushed at certain times and then have extra time at other times just to try and make reservations, and a lot of the reservations that we made we really didn't need a reservation for, like the places.
Well, it's hard to tell
busy,
because a lot of them
but some
said
were. Yeah.
reservations required, and I think it's because those are probably places that are really busy at like peak tourist season.
Yes.
Because a lot of these places too, where you're like eating outside and you know on the cobblestone street, like what people think of as like Italy, whatever. I'm sure in the summer those places are packed.
Yeah.
But at this time it was a little bit colder. Like there wasn't as many people sitting outside. So. But also things closed pretty early there. I was surprised about that. Even the bars and stuff closed at like 11.
Yeah.
So-
Everywhere else we went, I think they stayed open late. So that's another thing that surprised me a lot there, is just how early the city closed.
Yeah, I guess Rome is not a party city.
No. Or we just didn't go to the right spots. Maybe all the locals party.
Yeah. I mean,
After they
we're
closed,
in like the
yeah.
most touristy
Exactly.
spots. So.
So after they close the tourist bars, that's when they all go party.
So moving on to Venice, I think we already talked about how it compares to Rome in the sense that it was very different. I don't think they're very comparable, honestly. I think they were like two very different experiences.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite moment or activity that we did in Venice?
In Venice, definitely the cooking class. Outside of Venice, technically, was the Prosecco tour, but yeah, I
Well, it
feel
was still
like
in Venice, wasn't it? It was just
No,
not in like
'cause
islands.
we left Venice completely to go to it. We drove for like over an hour and a half to get there.
Oh.
But yeah, in Venice, it was definitely the cooking class we did. It wasn't meant to be a private cooking class, but at the time we did it in the morning, and I feel like most people do that in the evening for the cooking class.
Yeah.
And a lot more offered it in the evening, but I was actually happy we picked the morning one because it was just us.
Well, it was not like morning, it was like 11.
Well, yes, but
We didn't
it's
eat
still the
until, like,
morning.
1.
Well, okay, yes. So we did it more for lunch than for dinner, which was actually really cool because it was just us and the instructor for it. So we actually got to really like talk with him, learn a lot about like his life there and just the area in general, kind of hearing more from the local perspective while also enjoying really good food that we got to make. So that was, yeah, a lot of fun.
That was really cool. I think I would have enjoyed it regardless because, like I said, I love cooking and I wanted to do something like that in Italy. That was actually a last minute thing too. It totally slipped my mind to do anything like that. And then when we were in Rome, I brought it up to Damik and I was like, oh my gosh, we should, I don't know why I didn't suggest this. We should do a cooking class. So we found that one kind of last minute. And I'm so glad that we did it. We got to make bruschetta, pasta, and then tiramisu.
Yep.
So, and it was, again, my favorite thing was just being able to talk to him for so long because he was probably around our age, and it was just nice to see like what his life was like there and talk to him about like his opinions on Italy and the US and just everything. It was just really interesting. And then for the wine tour, that has got to be, or I don't know, it's probably a vineyard tour, but that has got to be one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. Because like at first, well, first of all, we got to like drive up And he's like, yeah, so you have like the French Alps, the Swiss Alps, the Dolomites, like just like around you, and you're like, okay, cool, you know. And but we went to the first vineyard, and I was like, this is really cool. And then we went to like another vineyard that was also like, it was in the middle of nowhere. Like it was a restaurant, but it's like a restaurant for like just a couple people, I guess, that like live around that area. The family didn't even like speak English and stuff, but they were like still just really trying to communicate with us. Obviously our like sommelier guy was like translating for us, but and they made us like what was it, like 4 or 5, maybe even 6-course meal of different things. Yeah. We got a different glass of Prosecco with each course, and like then coffee and stuff at the end, or little espresso, desserts, everything. It was like phenomenal. And we're just sitting in the middle of this Italian villa just having this wonderful meal. And it was very expensive. I mean, transparency, it was what, like $700-800 person?
Euros. Not per person. That was total. Okay,
yeah. Then that's not that bad. I was thinking.
And it gets cheaper if you book more than just 2 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was the most expensive thing we did.
Yes.
But I don't regret it, and honestly, I would probably do it again.
I would too.
Not that company has different ones, so we did like a Prosecco one specifically. But yeah, I would probably do it again for like another winery, because it was wonderful.
Yeah. Especially if you go with like a group of 8, then it's comparable to like the rates you would do with other places and stuff too.
Yeah. So we did also do the gondola ride, which is like the classic Venice thing to do. What did you think of that?
I'm definitely glad we did it. It was cool. I felt like our gondolier, he was trying there at first, like sang a few little songs and would like point out what a lot of things were, which was cool because we got to learn some of the history there and like what some of the buildings or places were. I will say it was a very expensive thing to do for like what you got, and the rides are supposed to be 30 minutes. I think ours was about like 23 minutes, and then he did take our picture at the end, so yeah, it came out to like about 25 minutes there. And I guess I knew that
it was 90 euros.
Yes,
for the half hour
yes.
ride.
And I knew that was probably what it was going to be, like reading reviews and stuff from people. So like after it, I wasn't disappointed really. I was like, okay, that's what to expect. So
I think we actually got one of the better ones, though,
yes,
because a lot of people in like reviews, or even just like when we talked to, were complaining that their gondolier like was just not super friendly, and I feel like ours was actually pretty nice. And, you know, he did try. And I appreciated that. I don't regret doing it, but I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah,
like
it's a one-time thing.
If it was longer, maybe, but yeah, I don't know. It was... Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny to me because people really like put that out as to be like this really like romantic thing to do, you know? But like you're sitting there and then this guy is just like standing behind you. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like this really intimate setting or anything like that.
For Venice, getting around is, if you're on the island, there's only one little section where all the cars come in and park if you have a vehicle. So other than that, you're walking. I would not recommend having like wheelie bags. If you can do like a backpack or something, that makes it really nice, unless your accommodation is somewhere close to like, where the like train comes
like,
in.
It's all
like the cobblestone and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of like up and downs that you have to go through for like bridges. Everything else is flat, but like going up and down the bridges or the steps there is not fun.
And like don't plan on bringing any sort of like cute shoes, because it's just not happening. Like you need good shoes to be walking on that. Yeah.
In terms of stay, honestly, you can stay anywhere there on the island. It's all fairly walkable. I felt like we picked a good spot that was kind of central, so some stuff was to one side, some stuff was to the other, but honestly, there's hotels across most of it, so you'd be
staying there is a lot more expensive though, than
Yes.
Rome was.
There were some people there that we talked to that were staying on like the mainland, and then they have like buses and like tram
ferries.
thing that goes across, or like they have like the water taxis that you can take across too.
How did it feel to take like our first big trip as a married couple?
I mean, it felt a little different because it was our honeymoon, but
Really? I don't think it felt that much different. Well, I guess actually this is the first international trip that we've taken without Jack.
yeah. So, yeah, maybe that's why it
It's
felt
less
different,
entertaining
like
now.
a honeymoon. Yeah, it felt different because it was just the two of us, and other than that, I don't know. Like, I really enjoyed the whole trip.
But I don't think it felt necessarily
Really
any different of
no.
like, but because we've traveled together before.
We didn't do as much of like the typical like romantic honeymoon, like relaxation type of thing, doing all the romantic stuff. It was a lot more of like our typical
Like
trips
go,
of
go,
like
go,
go.
go.
Yeah, it was always just go, see all this stuff, more of the like adventure type.
And I think that's why whenever we go places, I like always want to go back, because now I got the like touristy like side of it, and now I just want to go to actually like see what it's like, if that makes sense. Like the second time we went to Scotland, I felt like we were a lot more able to just like be and like exist there and not feel pressured to do all of these things.
Yeah. So did you learn anything new about me while we traveled?
You about as a travel partner? Not really. I think for both of us, tensions were a bit higher than they are when we're with other people, because it was like solely reliant on us. Like I think I realized, because usually when we've gone places, we've relied on like Lasso or Jack drove us places and you know, whatever. I think we've kind of had it easy of like been able to just kind of relax, where this we were actually responsible for getting us everywhere. So sometimes that was a little bit difficult, but maybe we like, I'm not gonna say completely different things out of trips, but I think that like I'm definitely more so there for the culture. Like I could skip 90% of the touristy stuff and still like love the trip and get a lot out of it, where you like the museums, you want to go see that stuff. And it's not that you don't care about the other stuff, like the cultural stuff.
All the cultural stuff which exists in the museums.
Yeah, but like to me, a museum is like...
She likes the modern culture, not the history culture. So
yeah,
much.
well, no,
Like,
I love history, but I'm saying like if someone came to Chicago and they were like what should I do to get the Chicago experience? I wouldn't be like, oh, go to the Field Museum. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's different.
Yeah, not for you. I would say that's one thing I learned. I knew she didn't like museums that much, but she booked a lot of museums.
I like museums. I like museums where I actually learn stuff, and I feel like a lot of these
didn't teach you as much.
Yeah, they were like
just said what
art
it was,
museums,
not...
and they would be like, here's this sculpture. They wouldn't say anything about like the history of that sculpture, but they would tell you all about how it was made and like what it was made out of. And I was like, respectfully, like I don't really care. But I think I would have liked them a lot more if they actually had like descriptions of, I don't know what it was, what it displayed. Because I love history. Like I liked a lot of the museums we went to in Scotland and stuff. I found really interesting.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything about me different?
I mean, mainly that you chose to book a lot of museums.
Well, yeah, because I know that you
like
that.
Yeah, even for me though, it did get to be a bit much.
We did.
There, yeah. Waiting in line for the Vatican, I think, took out a lot.
But that was our last day, and I think I was already starting to feel like, was it like what you expected a honeymoon to feel like?
I guess a long time ago, no, this isn't what I pictured for my honeymoon. But for us, I feel like it was kind of what I was expecting. I guess I always pictured like a honeymoon as kind of like a getaway and relax for a couple weeks and like do like, maybe it's more like on a beach or something, or like at a little cabin, like getaway. And
but I think we both, and like me more so, sure, but I think we both get really bored with that.
Yeah.
Like if it's longer than like a weekend.
A week, yeah.
A week? Like,
Well,
I don't think I could ever travel to a different country just to, like, relax.
Yes. Like, I could see doing it on, like, where you're relaxing for a couple days and then do a few activities, relax. But not, like, just sit on a beach for a week straight. But, like, maybe breaking up activities with more relaxation.
Well, yeah. To be fair, if I go back, then yes, I would relax.
Yeah.
But, like, I should say that I would never go to a country that my first time.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against people who do. I just think that I have too much of a, like, anxiety personality, too. But I told Damick, I was like, hey, I would go back to Rome and just, like, go to the park and read a book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I definitely would do that. It's also different because most people, like, their honeymoon is probably their, like, first big trip that they've taken together, and it feels different, where, like, we've been fortunate enough to do a lot of trips together in the past, so this was just kind of like another one. I'd say the biggest difference is like usually we don't stay in very nice places. We stay in like the cheapest of the cheap. You know, here we definitely stay in nicer places than we typically would. We spent a lot more on like food restaurants than we typically would. So I guess that was maybe the thing that made it feel more like honeymoonish.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of things of like, well, it's our honeymoon, we're doing this. Yeah, so
that we would have not done otherwise. Yeah.
So how did you feel then about the balance that we had there between like just seeing all the sights versus more of a relaxation time?
For Italy specifically, I think it was way more sightseeing. Mm-hmm. I think we maybe had a couple hours throughout the entire week we were there that I would say, well, aside from sleeping, but like awake hours that I would say we were actually just relaxing. Like we went to a couple like little bars and we got like a drink. But I think it's also dependent on what your definition of relaxation is, because there was a time where we walked over by like the campus, like the quieter area of Venice, and it was pretty peaceful, and like some people would probably say like, oh, just casual stroll. But it's also like when you've been walking for like 6 days straight, it starts to not, like, things that I would probably deem that as a relaxing activity usually, like, didn't feel as relaxing. I don't know. I think I would love to go back and do more of like a just kind of chill vibe. I don't know. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, I'm glad we did it the way we did, like, of getting all of those touristy things out, because, again, I would have been sad if we missed some of those. There's probably a few things we could have skipped, but I would have probably still filled them with other activities. So, yeah, I definitely agree it was more, like, doing than relaxing, but I feel like that's also just us.
Yeah. What's like your from all of Italy, like your number one highlight moment that you will never forget?
It has to be the Prosecco tour of like just sitting up there and like eating that lunch probably.
That's mine
like,
too.
That's one that I can actually still visualize. Like there's a lot, I feel like my memory's so bad and I'm already forgetting a lot of the specifics of different things, but that I can actually like visualize still, which is yeah,
that's what I would say too. Either that or like when we got to Rome, we were really tired, obviously flying and whatever, went to the hotel, took like a couple hour naps, got changed, and then like our first kind of like going out on the town, walking around, because Italy was always such a special place for me that I wanted to do. And so like that was like my first time of being like, oh my gosh, I'm here, you know. What would you recommend to other couples if like they want to go to Italy for a honeymoon or just in general?
Well, I guess I can't speak for anywhere else besides Rome and Venice, but I would say for Rome, it's definitely what we said before of making sure you pre-book different activities that you want to do, especially if you're going during peak season. Honestly, I would suggest going kind of at the edge season if you have a choice of time where everything's still open, but it's a little less busy. Obviously, we don't know exactly how busy it gets, but
we'll be prepared for it to be cold.
It's still,
because it was fine in Rome, like low 70s, but in Venice it was freezing.
Yeah.
We didn't bring the right clothes at all.
I'd agree with that one. So pack appropriately.
Don't bring bad shoes. Even sandals. if you're bringing sandals, make sure they're like good, supportive sandals.
Transportation, honestly, was pretty good in Rome, and then Venice.
The buses, we took a lot of buses, and
they had pretty consistent bus routes, and the train we took from the airport was really good.
And you get to be like, wonder if my bus is gonna hit someone today.
Yeah, that happens. So yeah, I would say having the public transportation there actually worked well, as long as you're doing stuff like in the city. And then Venice, I mean, you're walking, so you don't really need it. You just
I mean the long-term trains, because that's how we got to from Rome to Venice. We took a train. Fantastic.
Decent, yeah,
like fantastic routes.
Bring food if you ride the train. They used to serve food on there.
Well, that was just on that specific train. I don't know what the other trains are like.
That's true. For the train we took, they had a whole online menu of all their food, and then you go to the food cart, and they're like, those are just the photos. Here is this pre-boxed sandwich that's not good.
Terrible. They brought it back to me. I was like, I'm absolutely not eating that. And then he took a bite of both sandwiches because he got 2 different ones, and he like did not finish either of them.
No.
What train was that? It was the
Italia Rail, however you
I
pronounce
don't know.
that.
I don't even want to try it.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
So that was the one big disappointment on the train. Other than that, the rest of the train ride itself was good. We should have just actually bought food and brought it on the train like everyone else around us that knew what they were doing. Yeah,
but I would say as far as packing too, just be prepared, I guess, for whatever season you're going. I guess if you're going in summer, I'm not gonna say like, pack super warm clothes, but if you're going in like any of the off season, just bring, because that was the other thing. We looked to buy coats when we were in Venice because we were actually so cold, and everywhere we went, it was like so expensive. And I mean, we didn't really go shopping in Rome except at Sephora, but seeing their Sephora prices, I don't want to know what their clothing prices are. So, don't, unless you really want to spend some money, I wouldn't plan on buying stuff while you're there. But mainly I would just say bring good shoes. You have to bring good shoes because you will be walking a lot and your feet will still hurt. And we actually had to stop at a pharmacy to get plasters for Damick because even though he had like good trainers.
No, I bought new shoes that looked a little nicer for this trip, and
but they're still like a good brand. They were like still a good brand, like they were meant to be
comfortable.
Yeah.
I think it was I just needed to have longer socks, and I only packed a few pairs of longer socks, so the rest of mine were just no-show socks. But
even regardless, like I had good shoes too. And, like, I still got blisters and stuff because if you're just doing a lot of walking. I mean, that's, like, a lot of places in Europe. You're just... And when you're traveling in general, you're just, like, doing a lot of walking. So, overall, I think Italy was really special for me to get to experience that because it's something I wanted to experience for so long. And it definitely brought up some sad emotions, too, of, like, all of the things that I missed out on. I wish that I got to do all of that when I was younger. But yeah, I hope we'll get to go back soon because I really enjoyed my time. Would you go back?
Yeah, I'd definitely go back. I would say there's other places I want to visit first before I would go back, just because I have a huge bucket list of places to go. But if someone was like, hey, we're going here, I'd definitely go.
Good to know. So if I like just tomorrow, I'm like, hey, we're going here.
Yeah. Or if I went back, there's so many places to see in Italy that I would probably.
Would you go back to Rome or Venice?
I would want to go to a few of the other places first before.
I would go back to Rome.
Yeah, if I had to pick between going back to one of them, it would be Rome.
I mean, it's not that I wouldn't go back to Venice. I mean, if someone wants to take me there, I will go with you. But it just like I think
it all depends on
what
the situation.
we had to do.
Yeah.
But I would like to go back to Rome, like I said, because to actually like not do the touristy stuff and to just like the city was so interesting too. Like honestly, the scammers and stuff kind of fun to watch. You wanted to watch. There was this one magician guy. You wanted to watch him for hours. Like you know
even there were some locals that came by too, and they're like to their friends, "Hey, watch this guy. He's like really good." And they lived like right where he was doing it too, so they were standing out there watching for a while. So, yeah.
So yeah, I would go back
Mm-hmm.
to Rome. I've heard good things about like Florence too. So
Yeah,
maybe.
that's where I'd want to visit, like Florence.
Amalfi
or Milan.
Coast. We've heard. I think Amalfi Coast is beautiful, but it's also like
So
a lot
many,
more like
yeah.
rich.
So many of my coworkers have said like Lake Como or
Yeah.
Amalfi Coast to go to.
And again, let us just clarify: we only spent this much because it was our honeymoon. I don't think we could justify spending that much on like just a casual trip.
You can do any place cheap if you do it right.
Long story short, I want to go back to Rome again, probably. Damick does not, so I guess
I want
to
to go back. I want to go back, but I want to go a lot of places.
I do too, but I think that it's like when you go to those big cities, like London, Rome, Paris, like you can get cheaper flights to go there as opposed to trying to.
Yes.
Like you could actually realistically do that for like a couple days versus.
Well, that was the issue. Tickets to Rome were cheap, but tickets back from Rome were very expensive.
Oh, dang it. Guess we
Guess
can't
you're
come
stuck.
back. Yeah.
All the tickets to the U.S. were expensive. Everyone wanted to come to the U.S., I guess.
Yeah, that's what it is. We did film a travel vlog kind of showing our whole trip, so I'll post that in the description box below. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, we may or may not be able to answer them, but you know, put them in the comments below. Would definitely recommend visiting both places though if you get the opportunity, because they were both lovely.
Thank you everyone for watching. If you liked the video, please click that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.